warmer weather approaches, auto theft and virtual vehicle scams are on the rise in Ontario, leaving car buyers losing thousands of dollars in places like Facebook Marketplace. To discuss this more, let's bring in Dan Park, the CEO of Clutch.ca, Canada's first online used car retailer. Dan, thanks very much for joining us.
Good morning, Roger.
We are already having a bad year for vehicle thefts, and now we are looking at it's going to get worse for the summer?
Yeah, as you know, I think the statistic right now is that every 6 minutes in Canada, a vehicle is being stolen. And on our system, we've got 100,000 vehicles that go through every month, and every 1 out of 300 vehicles are stolen. And so this is a real problem. We actually met with a senior government official yesterday to discuss this issue and see if we can help.
And what happened with that meeting? How'd you feel coming out
We're
of
making
it?
progress. I think we've got a lot of data, and we've got a lot of fraud prevention and theft prevention procedures that allow us to find and identify stolen vehicles. And so we're actively working with government officials to see if we can actually catch some of these criminals and limit some of this vehicle theft going forward.
All right, that's some good news. Let's talk about the not so good news. There's a new Facebook Marketplace scam, and fraudsters advertise vehicles that aren't even theirs.
Yeah, no, that's certainly happening. Fraudsters are becoming more and more sophisticated, and so buyers need to be more and more sophisticated. And so as we approach the spring and as consumers are looking to buy new cars, we recommend, one, making sure that they're always buying from a registered OnVIC dealer. Two, that they're checking for the VIN and making sure the VIN is the same in all three places. And then three, checking the vehicle history. And you can tell a lot from the vehicle history, including if that vehicle has been stolen.
And with the VIN in all three places, what are you referencing there?
So there's a vehicle identification number that's generally on the windshield, on the door, and then in the materials that come with the vehicle.
And if those don't, is there any reason why they would never match up?
No, there's no reason why they shouldn't match up.
So it's either a wreck, a possibility of a wreck, two cars then put together, or other things. Just run.
Or someone that's tried to change the VIN. And what people are doing sometimes is they're taking cars that have already exported to the U.S. And then re-VINning them, assuming that they've come back to Canada, and when they actually haven't. And so the VIN may look legitimate, but it might not be because fraudsters have actually changed the VIN for that vehicle.
What if you are going to go through a private sale? I mean, people still want to do it because you can still save money with it. Not necessarily, though, because if you end up having a stolen car in your hands, you're not going to save money. But what other things, what other tells are there that you should be going, you know what, this is probably a bad deal?
Yeah, I think the number one thing is if you check the vehicle history and that registration has been flipped in the last 2 weeks or a week, generally people don't buy cars and try to sell them within a couple of weeks. And so that's a major flag, and that's certainly one when we buy cars from the general public that we're checking, and we generally don't buy cars that have been flipped within the last month.
And you just stay away from them. What about if they are dealing, I mean, like your own group, no worries, but what other things can they should be looking for if they want to go into a dealership? Any concerns about dealerships or those small car lots that you see everywhere?
Yeah, the number one thing there is make sure that they're registered with OnVIC, which is the Ontario Motor Vehicle Industry Council, which effectively gives buyers some protection around a fraudulent transaction, and so they can take any issues up with OnVIC. We're obviously OnVIC registered. But again, the same principles apply even when buying from a dealership, making sure that you're checking the Carfax history, which is the vehicle history. We offer that complimentary online with every single car that we sell. Some dealerships don't, and so you can actually purchase that if you want. You can also check the VIN, and then being a registered dealer is very helpful. But there's always signs that if a vehicle is stolen, generally looking at the vehicle history, if the service was consistent, if the registration has been changed several times, those things can often indicate that a vehicle was stolen.
All right, Dan, I appreciate the advice. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Dan Park is the CEO of Clutch.ca.